Oh, hey, and we're live. Are we live? We are apparently live. We're live. I can be heard. I can hear myself. I sound really noisy. I'm sorry about that. I was trying to. Yeah, I haven't actually found a good real-time noise reduction solution. The one I have found does not download properly. But we're back. Hello everyone. Hello Achron fans again. We are back. Apparently it's working now. Let's get the show on the road, because I'm so sick of all this bullshit that's been going on trying to get this thing working in the first place. So, as we said, this is going to be a game. It's going to be Haiku and ChronAberant. And should be starting shortly. I'm not sure what's going on yet. Unfortunately, I basically have to watch the stream and cast off of that since the Skype stuff doesn't seem to work properly. So, as a result, we're going to have to be a bit delayed, I'm afraid. My commentary will not be quite spot on, but I will try not to be too topical, too exactly on the mark of what exactly is going on so that this does work. Hopefully I'll be able to get I'll be able to justify buying a better computer next week, as then hopefully get a job next week. But we'll see, and then if that happens, then I should be able to cast this just fine. But right now, it's a bit of a workaround, and hopefully it seems to work right now. So let's go with it. I guess it's getting started, really. Okay, so apparently the game was started, and Marvel just forgot to remove the little Achron logo graphic. And we should be started pretty soon. And then we'll actually be able to get the show on the road an hour late. I really apologize for this. I didn't expect so many technical problems to come up. But anyway, the game's on. So we have Haiku here, and bottom left corner, ChronAberant is in the top right corner. This is actually off a replay, as mentioned before. So that's one of the reasons why it was technical issues. It's basically that for replays it requires 2 cores. Just for joining a game it requires only 1 core. So that's basically the source of all the performance problems. So, game's on. ChronAberant has gone Grekim. Haiku has gone CISO. And ChronAberant is doing standard build, getting up his Arcticus forward, getting his Faro and Seppi laid down to start building, while Haiku is also building up economy. He is getting a lot of RPs. Actually, a couple of RPs looks like possibly on QP. I'm not sure if he's got a couple between the LC and QP, so that should allow him some. Okay, actually, when at ChronAberant, the RPs between the LC and QP will allow him to choose which kind of resource he wants on the fly. However, he's actually trying to double build resource processors. So right now he's out of money for resource processors, and ChronAberant at the same time has also started to run out of money for resource processors. He's building Octos. All of them are set up to build resource processors. They're all done now. He doesn't have any Octos for harassment yet, but it looks like he's probably building that at the moment. And Haiku will have enough resources. Actually, he has enough resources for a couple more RPs. I don't know if he's going to be going straight for that. I imagine he's going to go for some early importers, since, like I said before, heavy on infantry. However, it looks like he's sent out quite a few units to expand. And he has sent up an importer. Yes, that's where the importer is. And he's also probably going to be setting up some more RPs in the other bases and the expansions at the bottom right and top left corners. Looks like he's in fact going for both. And slightly up from here, we see that, yes, he has in fact built some RPs on the bottom right expansion. He's built some on the center left expansion, center west expansion. And ChronAberant right now is falling behind in economy. I'm not sure if he's going to be going for any harassment. He is about a minute down from where we're looking right now, so he could very well be doing something very much more apt for the situation. But right now he's doing nothing because we aren't actually looking where he's paying attention. So a minute down, it'll be very interesting to see what he's up to. He is, in fact, building up. No, we've jumped up again. Yeah, here we are. So he is, in fact, building up some more forces, some harassment forces from the looks of it. He will be getting some stuff up. Here we are. More economy, more harassment forces. His resources actually are starting to... Yeah, they're starting to be a bit more healthy than the resource of Haiku. So it looks like, yeah, ChronAberant is going to have a slightly easier time with this. And he hasn't built much, though. Haiku has been building a fair bit. And Haiku's expanding a lot more across the map. ChronAberant's been pretty much turtling inside his base right now. He has a reef coming up very shortly. He will have some more RPs coming up as well. And he has more harassment forces. And Octo has actually been sent out to harass and scout. But right now, Haiku is actually built up quite heavily across the map. He really hasn't focused on anything more than what he's built up. So Haiku is in a very good spot to start just completely tearing apart ChronAberant. As long as Haiku actually makes use of all the resources he has, but he's going to be getting resources at a very fast rate. So it looks like ChronAberant, he's not paying attention right now, so he is getting his resources very high as well. But of course, if we're actually looking where he's looking, when he has fairly decent resource rate. No expansions though. His reef is up. He's not getting any tech yet, and he has still a scouting Octo going out. So Haiku is really pushing a lot harder across the map, really focusing a lot more on his economy and getting expansions up. And will likely be focusing very shortly on getting military units. I don't see any factories right now, but it's hard to tell since we're actually looking at them. Another importer, so that's 2 importers so far, and another base as well. So he has expanded very heavily along his entire side of the map. Hasn't built much in the way of production, but he's built a lot in the way of resources. While ChronAberant looks like he's actually sent out an Octo, he sent out an Octo south to scout out the Spec Ops that's going to be coming in to not really do much, but the Octo will be able to take care of it. Once again, the reef is popping up. We've seen this before. So the Octo is actually starting to walk away from the Spec Ops. It is attacking the Spec Ops now, so going directly for it. ChronAberant is focused on that, making sure he is going to take care of that Spec Ops, stop it from doing any real damage. And the Octo has successfully killed off that Spec Ops, so that is going to be another resource processor Octo coming up. So ChronAberant very focused on getting a lot of RPs in his main base, while Haiku is a lot more focused on getting a lot of RPs throughout the map, which will probably be a lot more safe as far as overall strategy goes, because Haiku will have a much better economy overall, have a much easier time dealing with everything going on around the map. He won't have to worry about his main base being destroyed and then losing all his economy if ChronAberant goes straight for the main base. He does, of course, have to worry about the fact that his economy is spread out, but because his economy is so much stronger than ChronAberant's right now, I'm not sure what ChronAberant can do. Admittedly, this is about 2 minutes up from where the players are actually looking, but I'm not sure what ChronAberant could do at this point other than try to expand himself, but I don't know if he's actually done that. It doesn't look like he has. He has no, he is. He's sending a couple Octos to the top left corner. It looks like he is going to start expanding. He has gotten advanced structures now. He's maybe getting Chrono-porting soon. He does have resources in the bank, but I don't think it's enough to do it, and it doesn't look like he's actually gone for it right now. Looks like he's just going for Pharopods and some more Octos for RPs. The Octos are going out. Looks like they are going straight for the RPs. He has gone for the top left expansion, so ChronAberant has started to expand, but really does seem like it's a little late, given that Haiku's been expanding since the start of the game. So ChronAberant, I'm not sure he's going to try to go for a Chrono Rush with the Pharopods. That seems like the most likely strategy, but the thing is he hasn't gotten Chrono-porting yet, and he doesn't have the resources for it. Like I said, he hasn't played in a little while, so he might have been a bit confused about the resource counts with respect to the new Chrono-porting costs, because Chrono-porting was made more expensive a few patches ago, and I doubt that's the problem, but it is possible that we are going to be having a Chrono-port match in a few minutes. Like I said, it will take a little while for ChronAberant to get the resources to do it. He does have a Pharopod, though, so that's half of the Chrono Rush there. And a couple armories, and here we are. Here are the importers. Here are the armories. Here's all the stuff. And Octo's coming in to try to deal with this. However, 3 Octos will probably not be able to deal with this too much. Looks like they're actually focused more on building RPs. 2 of them will be not able to build their RPs. They're going to start attacking the RPs, but the Marine there, in a nice little Sim City Haiku setup, Octos will not be able to make it inside to kill them. So that Marine's very safe. We'll be able to fend off all those Octos. So ChronAberant's in a really bad spot right now. I'm not sure what he could do at the moment. Most of the stuff he could do is in the UPP. I mean, he could try to expand, get a lot of QP, get some Chrono-porting, and just send back a Chrono Rush to try to deal with all this. Another option is that Haiku is obviously going for infantry. He's gotten his armories, he's gotten his importers, and infantry are bad against siege weapons. Any units with a lot of area of effect damage and high range. good option would be Octolegos. Not the best option due to the fact that they are very large units and have issues with pathing, but Octolegos would probably be a good option for ChronAberant right now. They're probably the best option in terms of what budget he has, and to deal with large numbers of units, like I said, splash damage, very important. Octolegos have that. Octolegos have range. That's probably his best option. I doubt he's going to go for it. Octolegos are not popular in the metagame right now. He is, however, sending Pharopods there, and that should actually be pretty powerful. It doesn't look like this particular base has not been fortified very heavily, so I don't think this will be an issue. Octo is actually building a dome right in the middle of the base here, so he will be able to at least deal some damage to this base. Have a nice little permanent fortification base. Usually that's going to last very long. The infantry... Okay, Spec Up has been destroyed, and more Pharopods streaming in, so ChronAberant's just streaming in Pharopods and Octos to try to deal with his base. Probably the best idea right now he has, although, like I said, long term, he's really got to look for either getting splash damage, Octolegos, maybe Pharolegos too, that could work too. They're kind of more strategic bomber. I don't think he'd be able to get them in enough numbers to actually live, but especially since his ChronAberant's QP income is not very high. Haiku, however, does have 2 bases full of infantry production, so even if this base gets destroyed, his main base will be still quite safe and not very damaged at all. Looks like ChronAberant is actually going south to try to figure out what he can deal with there, and will be finding quite a bit, at least in terms of RPs, but not a lot in terms of production capacity. However, Octo's streaming directly in to try to deal with this. Actually, not just Octo's, everything's streaming in to deal with this. And that's going to be very powerful. So it looks like we have domes coming in. Octos are building domes right here, trying to pre-fortify this whole place. ChronAberant seriously quite dedicated to trying to take this port on the map. So ChronAberant looks like he's going to have a bit of an advantage at that section, but still, Haiku is just building up. He has tons of resources in the bank. He really has no worries when it comes to resource loss. Production capacity loss, yes, and that is a problem, especially losing importers, but those importers were quite new. They didn't have a lot of reserves in them, so it's not like he's losing a lot of built-up reserve capacity, and he has half a dozen importers outside of that base. So ChronAberant's efforts are very valiant, but I don't know how effective they're going to be, given that Haiku doesn't have that big of an Achilles heel. He has 3 independent bases, all with quite a bit of marine production capacity and, well, infantry production capacity. While ChronAberant has his 1 main base, really all Haiku has to do is just assault that heavily. Haiku has, like I said, very high resources. ChronAberant is getting Chrono-porting, however. ChronAberant is researching Chrono-porting right now. Haiku is actually also researching ground units to upgrade the strength of his marines, but he's going to be having to deal with Chrono-porting right now. So a little bit late for ChronAberant, but it should still help him out. He is managing to pull back. He did destroy the base on the west side. ChronAberant's actually sweeping back with some Pharopods, trying to make sure he takes the base on the south right side, just a little north of the bottom right base. He's not sending Pharopods to the bottom though. He's actually going straight to the main base, trying to deal with the main base directly. A couple of factories have been put up as well for mechs to attack. Well, I guess probably to build up Macrofabs. I don't think. No, he hasn't got machinery, so there's no machinery upgraded yet. But there is ground units. The ground units upgrade does upgrade the marine and mech weaponry, so that will be very effective. However, the Pharopods are dealing tons of damage to the infantry. The main infantry block is trying to recapture the middle left side and probably going to sweep around to go for a main base attack. But as we can see, even further in the playable past, there has been Chrono-ported Pharopods. All these Pharopods have been Chrono-ported back to now deal with this, and this will be very powerful. I think ChronAberant may actually be able to swing this around, but like I said, it's more a matter of where those infantry are. If Haiku is able to get his infantry into the base of ChronAberant, and here we have the okay, so the Pharopods have Chrono-ported back to attack the base. I don't know if those infantry are causally independent of that base's existence right now. They may have actually been produced after the base gets destroyed in the unplayable past after the Chrono-port. So it's up from the Chrono-port, I should say. So it looks like ChronAberant may actually be able to swing this around. However, Haiku still does have an independent base on top of this, and he is going to be able to recapture this west side. Further back in the past, it looks like more Pharopods have actually swept up to try to deal with this, support themselves. No, sorry, these are the original Pharopods. So, just double-checking to make sure that Pharopods haven't been sent to sweep up here to support themselves. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. However, the Pharopods that were sent back here are still doing a lot of damage. Looks like ChronAberant is sending back more Pharopods. Could very well be sending them back up to help support that middle west side attack. And it looks like Haiku really is going down from 3 bases to 1. ChronAberant is still at 1 base, trying to build up that middle east side, but it doesn't look like that's going to be that much of an investment in terms of what Haiku has done. So Haiku has a lot of infantry. I don't know, like I said, how solid that infantry is going to be if a lot of it's just going to vanish once the attack is processed through. And it looks like, yes, it looks like the infantry is actually completely dependent on that base existing. So I think ChronAberant may have actually been able to pull this around. Now, of course, Haiku hasn't lost yet. I'm just kind of concerned for his infantry because it looks like his main infantry force has been heavily damaged by an uppercut Pharopod attack. And, yep, even more coming around. He has quite a few reserves, though, so he should be able to rebuild somewhat. However, the thing with infantry is that you really need to keep your infantry alive. If they're not alive, then you don't get the ability to have the massive infantry you need to make infantry strategies useful. And ChronAberant, once again, coming in here, he has plenty of QP. He can easily Chrono-port back these Pharopods 3 or 4 times if he wanted to. However, further back in the past, it looks like Haiku is actually setting up some more defenses, setting up defense turrets, in fact, while ChronAberant is pushing his entire base, all of his RPs, to the northwest side of the map, try to take that expansion, keep his resource income coming in. And it looks like there's not much that Haiku has set up to stop ChronAberant right now. ChronAberant just sweeping around the map, making sure he isn't missing any expansions of Haiku, any settlements of Haiku. And really far in the immutable past, yeah, here we're looking at this battle again with the Pharopods. Nothing seems to have changed right now. Still death for Haiku, and still a pretty powerful attack for ChronAberant. So, interesting way of pulling out from that turtle there ChronAberant used. And right now, Gate Tech has been upgraded for Haiku as well. ChronAberant is spreading out his RPs across the map, and Haiku in that one base does have Gate Tech. He is getting more defense turrets set up, and he has a teleporter as well. Doesn't look like he's getting a Chrono-porter, however, he usually uses Gate Tech for the slingshots and teleporters. He, however, only having one may not be in the best position to deal with this. He's still getting more infantry, trying to deal with what he can. His chrono energy is running low, though, so his ability to actually command his forces is going to be very limited. That being said, he does have auto-hierarchy and smart idle on right now, which means he is going to have less of a hard time actually giving necessary micromanagement commands, especially things like hierarchy construction. So that will save, but it's still going to be a bit tricky for him. He just has to wait for a CE to recharge in order to really be able to command things. And a teleport has happened, so he has teleported his units around. I'm not sure where he's teleported them to. Likely north into... I'm not sure if he's going to ChronAberant's main base, or if he's going... He is going to the main base. He's going straight to the main base, and he's completely ignoring that side base. The main base is being heavily attacked by the... Here we are. So they're heavily attacked by the infantry, and it's going to be dealing a ton of damage to the RPs. Pharopod's coming in and trying to deal with this, doing a very good job dealing with all its infantry, and it looks like ChronAberant's actually jumped back to prepare for this, sending the Pharopods back already, reinforcing the attack, and now the infantry are coming in and getting completely wiped out as they come in. Pharopods managing to deal tons of damage, having already been prepared. However, 2 Pharopods on the ground have been destroyed, so Pharopods being constructed have been destroyed, and further in the future, though this is of course an echo, their infantry is going to be very powerful indeed. However, this ultimately will not come to pass because of that nice preparation by ChronAberant. So, it looks like there's going to be not much that Haiku can do unless he actually goes back in time and redoes the teleporter to possibly go for the side base. However, he doesn't know about that northwest base, or northwest bases, so that will be very problematic for Haiku. So it looks like Haiku is trying to deal with this as best he can. Jumping back further, trying to figure out what he's going to do from here. I'm guessing he's probably going to be he's changing teleport from the looks of it. He has changed chrono energy usage, and I'm guessing he's going to be changing teleport. Not sure where, though, if he's still going for a teleport, to be honest. His units are continuing to remain at his base, not going straight for a teleport. He's completely aborted that, so ultimately an echo attack. Haiku is trying to see what he can do from the looks of it, trying to figure out how he can rebuild, keep himself in the game, but he does not have a very strong position, unfortunately, and he's going to have to try to deal with all this stuff coming in from ChronAberant, because ChronAberant is sending him quite a bit of damage coming his way. And it looks like Mech is still building more gates, possibly more teleports coming in. More teleports would be very useful, would allow for a higher rate of teleportation into a base. However, I don't think they'll really be able to counteract the fact that ChronAberant can just see what's going on. And Haiku, like I said, Haiku's strategy entirely depends on numbers, and teleporters only send one at a time. So sending in when there's preparations for it is going to be a problem, because what will happen is, of course, the units will be sent in one at a time, and yeah, it's one at a time once every quarter second, but still one at a time. And no, it looks like that is in fact another teleporter. So yeah, 2 teleports coming in from Haiku, and he's in fact teleported around to the west side, trying to deal with what's going on there. So he is apparently aware of that west side base. However, Farpod's coming in, trying to deal with all these infantry, and doing a very good job of it. The infantry really should need to be just microed back a bit to try to deal with and get rid of the Farpods, get them towards the turrets, but it looks like there isn't much luck. All the infantry are being destroyed very quickly. The turrets are doing what they can, dealing quite a bit of damage to the Farpods, but unfortunately they're not in range enough, and their infantry are dying very quickly. So it looks like the infantry are being destroyed. Mass Farpods doing a very good job taking care of the infantry of Haiku, and that Chrono-port earlier in the game did a very good job as well. And Far Legos, here we are, Lego class units. Far Legos coming in, like I said, very useful, strategic bomber, good at dealing with lots of units. And apparently I was mistaken, apparently Far Legos don't have splash. I haven't actually tested that extensively, so the one thing I can't really test easily when I'm setting up the wiki, but the point is, Far Legos do, and Far Legos doing a very good job dealing with Haiku's base. And Haiku, further back, about a minute down from here, I'm not sure what he's going to do to try to deal with this. Really, since his focus is entirely on infantry, Far Legos are going to be a very good counter to that. What he'd need is like frigates or some other really dedicated anti-air unit. So it looks like ChronAberant's Far Legos have managed to pull around and completely obliterate Haiku's infantry. Haiku's infantry look like they've actually teleported to the west side of the map. No, a tornado has teleported to the west side of the map, and that will be able to deal a bit of damage, but not enough to stop these Far Legos from obliterating Haiku's base. So that was quite the comeback from ChronAberant. I mean, it'd be kind of cool if Haiku managed to come back from that comeback, but I should have said that is his way to do that. He has hardly any CE, he has hardly any resources, he doesn't have the infrastructure set up to build anything higher tech than, basically, than infantry. I mean, he could build some tanks, maybe some heavy tanks, but against Far Legos, that would be an iffy idea. And a mech going out trying to build a defense turret off to the side. More of the resources being completely taken by ChronAberant. So ChronAberant has basically taken the map back from Haiku, managed to get rid of Haiku's apparently rather tenuous economy advantage, because Haiku had most of the map at the start. But yeah, it looks like Haiku has been completely torn apart from this. ChronAberant is likely sending units back in time. It looks like he jumped back towards the unplayable pass, so that's likely to be a Chrono-port departure, probably from the Far Legos to help themselves out. And it looks like ChronAberant has taken this game by storm. Very, very impressive comeback. Yeah, even more Far Legos coming in, 7 Legos coming in, and even further back, it's hard to tell. The time wipe has not come in to propagate that yet, so it looks like Haiku really has not much he can do right now. He's checking the unplayable pass to see what's going on, and as far as I can tell, there really isn't much he can do. He has mechs coming in, building more defense turrets. No, it's probably the same defense turrets as before. And so, really, he hasn't got much. I think he might have... No, he actually did set up... He would have set up a Chrono-porter in the corner. It was better to tell. We weren't looking at it. But that mech looked like it actually came back from the future to build more defense turrets. So I'm guessing that was a Chrono-porter outside of the base and not a defense turret, because otherwise the mech wouldn't be able to come here. And just double-checking, yes, that is a Chrono-porter. My mistake. It was a bit hard to tell from the image. But yes, a Chrono-porter has been built. The mech has been sent back in time to help build defense turrets, to help defend against the incoming forces. But I seriously doubt that's going to be that big of a difference. The infantry still died. The importers are still destroyed. I mean, there's a couple importers and a couple armories left, but really I don't know how much that's going to help Haiku right now. There's massive forces coming in from ChronAberant. ChronAberant has more than enough QP to Chrono-port back his units 3 or 4 times. So even with the defense turrets, it's still not going to be enough. So ChronAberant really doesn't have much to worry about. He can just sweep through here and deal with this at his leisure, really. ChronAberant just sending the last few forces. Looks like they haven't Chrono-ported back. Yep, more Far Legos coming in. And actually, defense turrets, you know what, maybe they did deal a bit more damage than I thought. But it looks like most of them have been pretty well eliminated. So, still a valiant effort by Haiku to come back from this, but ChronAberant really just has a better footing right now. Nice little sneaky Chrono-porter, but I don't see it really coming in handy. The forces of ChronAberant, I mean, like I said, he has plenty of resources. Haiku doesn't have a whole lot of resources. He doesn't have much map control. ChronAberant has pretty much the entire map, and infantry have been set up here to try to deal with this, try to rebuild the base slightly outside of the resource spot, but really ChronAberant just has to scout around a bit after he tears down what exists here. Because if he tears this down, he will be able to get rid of the... Yep, 10 reserves gone right now. Another 10 reserves should be gone pretty soon, as the importers are completely obliterated. So that's another 7 reserves gone. So that's a lot of reserves gone. A lot of armories being built up, though, to try to use what exists, a couple more importers as well. So one Marine's actually doing quite a bit to rebuild, but it looks like that is it for Haiku, unless he's able to get away with this, which I kind of doubt, but it's possible ChronAberant did not see this and Haiku would be able to actually get away with this. And if that happened, that would be pretty amazing, but I seriously doubt that's going to happen, because here we go, ChronAberant has seen it, and actually seen it before it even became a problem. So really, I'm not sure if Haiku is going to try to do an Echo Chrono-port and get units back here to try to actually deal with this. I mean, he might have just been building more infantry and trying, because he is building more defense turrets to try to deal with this, but I seriously doubt it's going to be that meaningful. But more defense turrets have been built up. The Chrono-porter, however, has not been built yet. Looks like, yeah, the Chrono-porter has been aborted, in fact. So this is Haiku's just set himself up into a paradox right now, in which I seriously doubt there's any positive resolution. For Haiku, that is. ChronAberant's fine, but Haiku is going to be falling out of this. So it looks like Game 1 goes to ChronAberant. Not been GG'd yet, but really that red time wave seems to probably be carrying the lack of a Chrono-porter and thus the echo-ness of those turrets. And turrets are being attacked very heavily as well. The Chrono-porter has been... Actually, no, the Chrono-porter hasn't built on the red time wave, but above the red time wave it hasn't been. So Haiku seems to be still trying to mess around with this to get what he can in terms of achronal attack capability, but I seriously doubt it's going to be any use. He's making a very valiant effort, got a lot of turrets up, and it looks like, yeah, Haiku has pretty much decided that he's lost the game, so there isn't really much to say more about that, other than looks like we're going to be seeing match 2 with Haiku having lost, so well done for ChronAberant. I mean, that was pretty impressive. So yeah, Haiku is GG'd, and he will be surrendering very soon. And that was Game 1. Very interesting game. Very interesting counter to the infantry strategy. A lot of people had trouble with Haiku's infantry strategy. So well done to ChronAberant for finding a way to get around that. And of course, props to Haiku for still fighting it out, being very much a warrior, and not giving up until the end. So that was really nicely done. And so yeah, well done. Very, very fun to watch. And I was glad to have seen that. So thankfully, we got it working so we could watch that really awesome game. And I'm not sure how this is going to work for actually showing that nice little pregame image. You do the screen share, right? So anyway, we'll be getting round 2 going shortly, and like I said, very exciting, very fun to watch, and apparently next game is even more fun than this. Like I said, these are all replays. They actually weren't played today because of some constraints regarding time. So ChronAberant and is actually on the channel right now, but Haiku is not. So these are games that were played yesterday and are being shown today. So that will be... Oh, wait, I don't know what the next map is. Sorry, one sec, guys. You're going to be... Crap. So, sorry about the delay. I just setting up something for the next bit. We had a bit of a... Like I said, these technical difficulties have caused a bit of a kink in terms of where we're setting up our little images, so it's going to be a bit longer to update every time, but it should still work. So where are we? Here we are. And what's the next map anyway? So yeah, that was game 1, and game 2 will be starting shortly. There it is. So yeah, this is ChronAberant won the first game, so getting game 2 set up. Oh, for fuck's sake, seriously, why are you not working? So yeah, next map is going to be Snowblind, another ice map. I think all 3 of the games for this are going to be ice maps, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's just get that set up. No, for goodness sakes, no. And so that was game 1. Game 2 will be starting shortly, as I said before. I know it sounds like a broken record. And then we will move on to the live games, the actual main event. Well, okay, this is also the main event, but the main event that's a bit easier to actually do because I don't have to worry about having to do this crazy going around with a bunch of different things. This is really tricky to work out because of basically the fact that there isn't a lot of trying to make this all work. And it looks like, where's the Withering Dunes layer? Yeah. So yeah, next map is Snowblind. It's, like I said, another map. It's a bit larger than Imperium, the map we just saw, and it's going to be a lot more... I don't know if it's a lot more resource heavy. It's a lot less set up and clear cut. As you can see on the background image, a lot of the resources are quite spread out. Single boxes here and there, so it's a much more spread out map than Imperium was, which may favor Haiku a bit better because he did like to spread out early on last game. So this game may actually be in his favor. So it's going to be something worth watching for. ChronAberant, on the other hand, may not have as easy of a time because his turtling strategy might not be as effective. It looks like there isn't as much room to simply defend as there is in Imperium. Imperium is basically one entrance, or one side of the entrance. In Snowblind, it looks like there's quite a few entrances along the entire ring around it. But I don't know if Haiku's going to keep going with the infantry strategy. So we're probably going this as soon as we can. And once the game is loaded up, we will go and start watching Game 2, which should be a much more interesting game, apparently, according to ChronAberant, and we'll see what happens. So, the game has started. Haiku is playing in the top right corner of the map, so ChronAberant would be in the bottom left corner of the map, and I'm just going to observer mode right now because this is a replay, so switching to observer, and neither player has set up yet, so it looks like ChronAberant has set up, and like I say, he's going for the standard setup with his Arcticus going out at the front and getting his Triads set up, while actually it looks like there was actually more defensibility than I thought, so ChronAberant will likely be doing fairly well in this too, and it looks like Haiku has he also gone for Grekim? I think I just saw Haiku with the floating Arcticus, so looks like, yes, both players have gone for Grekim right now, and oh wait, I'm sorry. ChronAberant and Haiku have been reversed. ChronAberant is in blue right now, and Haiku is in red. I guess they mixed up when they actually played the game, because it's supposed to be the other way around. So Haiku, I should say, has gone Grekim. Still surprising, but Haiku is in the bottom left corner. ChronAberant is in the top right corner. So Haiku will be going Grekim this time around. Interesting. So instead of going for his standard CISO build, I don't know how well this is going to work. It's a very risky strategy. Obviously, he saw that it didn't work out well for him to go for heavy infantry, but I'm not sure how well this will work either, since I don't know how much he's practiced it. Very risky, but possibly very useful. And it looks like this is going to be a rather interesting game. Grekim versus Grekim matches are usually fairly interesting, although they're also fairly numerous, and I don't mind not seeing Grekim versus Grekim, but that's what we're seeing right now. So, Haiku, in his desperation, no, I'm kidding, but Haiku has decided to go for Grekim. He's set up. Haiku, however, I'm a bit surprised he's not fast-forwarding. What Haiku will often do is actually go forward and then jump back and change his race. So play as Grekim or CISO, or Grekim or Vecchio for a while, but usually he'll be fast-forwarding way into the future, and he'll jump back to when he actually chose his race, and then switch to CISO, and then re-fast-forward, rebuilding his entire build order. But he doesn't even be going for that, because when he does that, he's usually just going for an all-in cheese build, and we saw on his base, he was actually going heavily for economy, so I don't see him really doing this as a race swap. No, he's going pretty heavily for economy. He's gotten RPs around the map, like I say, spread out, as I said he would. And this is actually rather interesting. So Haiku is actually sincerely going for Grekim. He's not trying to do a race switch or do anything crazy like that, which means this is going to be a very interesting game indeed. Because, like I said, I don't know how much Haiku has practiced his Grekim. I don't know if he has been practicing this, trying to see what he can do to use as a backup, just sub-race in case it comes up that his CISO strategy does not work against a particular player. So it looks like Haiku will actually have a interesting time dealing with this. I don't know how this is going to work, but I do know that it's something that a lot of people do is just to fight Grekim with Grekim, because Grekim has a lot of unique aspects. The fact that they have chrono-porting without you needing chrono-porters, they just have more expensive chrono-porting tech to balance it out, is something interesting. The fact that they have cloaked bombers is something that a lot of people have still been trying to work on in terms of dealing with. And just their general setup is often interesting in the sense that it's often difficult for people to deal with it other than playing as Grekim. There are ways of dealing with it. It's just the metagame still hasn't quite solidified around that yet. So at this point, Haiku seems to be just decided, you know what, best way to beat back Grekim is to play as Grekim. At least that's what he's clearly thinking. I don't know. We'll see if it works. Obviously, we'll find out. This is the point of the game. We'll watch it and see what happens. And if it works, then that's kind of something to be worried about. But if it doesn't work, then we'll know that it's a bad idea to race switch like that, so we don't see too many Grekim. Okay, I know, I'm kind of getting a bit of a rant here. My point is that we want to see all three races pretty well represented. We don't just want one race to dominate. No game should have one race dominating, and so, yeah, it looks like Haiku, however, has decided to go for that. So both players continuing to build up their economy and continuing to set up just a lot of RPs around the map. Both players spreading out very quickly, very evenly too, it looks. However, Haiku has set up his Arcticus right next to ChronAberant, and ChronAberant, while he's moved his Arcticus up front, hasn't really done much of that. And is that, yeah, 2 reefs coming up as well for Haiku. Haiku has actually set up his advanced structures now. He appears to be getting domes set up. He has apparently a much better developed base than ChronAberant. However, ChronAberant is slightly further in the past. No, even when he is, ChronAberant is building up an assault force, but he's not building up anything other than that, so it looks like we're going to be seeing a fairly powerful attack coming in from ChronAberant very soon. Yeah, it appears he's got some Pharaohs and Octos just waltzing in and finding the Arcticus, so going to be destroying the Arcticus very quickly, and it looks like the whole Arcticus jumping in front technique has actually been shown to be tactically effective in the most extreme case, because it's causing the Pharaohs to stop right in front of their base to kill it, but the Arcticus will be dying very soon, and it does look like there is some hierarchy set up for that, so that won't be exactly the best setup for Haiku. So Haiku is likely to lose that Arcticus, but he does have enough time to prep from it. And ChronAberant appears to be doing an even better job expanding. He's doing very well expanding around this map. Haiku's actually not expanding nearly as much as I thought he would, given how much he expanded last game. So ChronAberant's in a very powerful position. However, ChronAberant's almost gone completely for Liquid Crystal. No Q Plasma. Still has his initial 40, although should be showing up. Anyway, still has his initial 40. And that is going to be a very powerful, completely base class build. So a huge base class rush coming in from ChronAberant. ChronAberant's playing Haiku's game with Grekim instead of CISO, really. Like, the whole low-tech mass rush strategy. So, well, not really rush, I mean, it's 6 minutes in the game. But still, a low-tech mass assault strategy. And that's Haiku's game. And ChronAberant's playing. He's actually doing a very good job of it, too. And Haiku, instead, I'm not sure what he's going for. He's going for early Chrono-porting, going for early advanced structures. I think he's going for a standard Chrono rush. So, expect to see some Pharaoh pods at about the 4-minute mark in a few minutes. But I'm not sure he doesn't have any he doesn't have more than one Pharaoh pod coming up yet. So Haiku, when he's focused, isn't getting a lot of Pharaoh pods up. He has very little Q Plasma. He's been focusing a lot on getting Q Plasma income, but he doesn't have a lot of Q Plasma as it is. He has Chrono-porting set up now. The Pharaoh pod is ready. It should be lifting up any minute now and going to Chrono-port, so I'm expecting very quickly to have a 4-minute Pharaoh pod. But this massive force coming in, huge amount, oh wow, stepping in Pharaoh as well coming in on the side of the base. So the old cocky move, setting in Pharaoh and just sending in more Octos, more and more Octos coming in to attack. That Pharaoh pod needs to cloak, needs to Chrono-port back, needs to deal with that as it comes in, or before it comes in, which is the whole point. So the Pharaoh pod is trying to dodge around this, just going for the RPs, not going for it. No, he probably is going for Chrono-port. That discontinuity is likely a Chrono-port. And yes, Haiku has jumped back about 3 minutes, so that's likely to be a Chrono-port coming in. And yes, it is. There it is, that Chrono-ported Pharaoh pod at 4 minutes and 24 seconds game time. So, the Pharaoh pod coming in around, trying to deal with this, taking care of what resources he can, or actually taking care of what pro-gen units he can. However, mostly just looking at resource harassment, and the problem, of course, is that all these units haven't built so far. So, unfortunately, that Pharaoh pod isn't going to do very good undermining, because the units it's trying to undermine are already alive, except for the big cocky Octos, but even then, there's still enough for 5 Octos right now. And back up 3 minutes, we see that Haiku is having a very hard time dealing with this. He's not really looking at this right now. ChronAberant is just going to town on his base. Both of his reefs. Spire has been destroyed. The Pro-Gen units have been destroyed. The Arcticus was destroyed earlier. I don't know if there's any Pharaohs around here. And it looks like there isn't really much to go for it. Really, the only Pharaoh that would be around is that Spire, because Spires can actually morph back into Pharaohs. And that was killed. So Haiku is going to have to try to deal with this. Pharaoh pod, however, is dealing quite a bit of damage, taking out some units as they come in, but not actually dealing with the Pro-Gen units yet. And more Pro-Gen Pharaoh, a bunch of Pharaohs coming in actually as well later on. It's about 2 minutes up. 2 minutes down again, we still see that where Haiku is looking, there's still a lot of units coming into his base. So this Pharaoh pod is really all he has going for him right now. Hasn't been spotted yet, and if he can get rid of that Pro-Gen Seppi, he'd actually be able to deal with those Pharaohs coming in before they come in, to stop them from being Pro-Gen in the first place. But it looks like he's not focusing on that. Actually, we just jump back a little bit. So from Haiku's point of view, it's a little uncertain, but from ChronAberant's point of view, he's jumped back further, see what's going on, and it looks like Haiku has actually re-Chrono-ported that Pharaoh pod. So now 2 Pharaoh pods at the 4 minute mark to deal with whatever's going on. So the Pharaoh pod has been re-Chrono-ported. It's fighting alongside itself to try to deal with these RPs. Really should be dealing with the Pro-Gen units because that's all he can really deal with right now. The RPs are far too numerous, far too spread out for those 2 Pharaoh pods to be able to deal with them in any meaningful fashion. But the Pro-Gen units would allow him to go to town on the base, and from there would be able to deal with the other Pro-Gen units. Not a lot of Pharaoh pods have been, not a lot of Pharaohs have been built, and those are the main detectors. Mostly Octos in the base, a couple of Pharaohs here and there, but mostly Octos, and the Octos, of course, can't hit air. So really, at this point, the 2 Pharaoh pods should be hitting the Pro-Gen units, but they are hitting the RPs. They have now switched further up, they switched to the Pro-Gen units, but when Haiku is looking, it looks like Haiku is actually re-Chrono-ported again, those units. So it looks like there'll be 3 Pharaoh pods coming in, or possibly 4 Pharaoh pods. more likely 4 Firepods because of the geometric explosion that usually occurs. So 4 Firepods are likely to be coming in very shortly to deal with everything here. So that's going to be quite powerful if it works, but it's a really risky strategy because Haiku is basically banking his entire force on the same Firopod 3 times, essentially. Which means that he's going to be really having to worry about that 3-minute stretch that he basically has no control over because it's the unplayable past, while ChronAberant has the entire map to his own control. He can do whatever the heck he wants with it. And one of the Firopods has actually been, well, the Firopod, one of the iterations of the Firopod, one of the dependent iterations of the Firopod has been destroyed. So the other 2 Firopods are actually only going to be echoes right now. Well, one of them is going to be the one with the circle under it should be fine, but the other one is going to be screwed. And that's not going to be going well for Haiku at all. So I'm not sure what Haiku is going to try to do to pull himself out of this. Right now, he really doesn't have much of a chance. There's everything going in ChronAberant's favor, and Haiku has not done a thing other than these Firepods. And the Firepods, very powerful strategy, of course. Having a bunch of Firepods to deal with everything going on is commonly used, but unfortunately, he has actually taken care of the Progen units, but unfortunately not much more has gone on since then. He does seem to be chronoporting back the Firopod further and trying to deal with the Progen units, deal with the RPs. And the RPs, like I said, are probably lower priority. There's far too many resources in the bank, far too many RPs. ChronAberant is way too safe. Getting the Progen units will be the best strategy. The Firepods are not, don't seem to be actually moving around from when they are, and it looks like, well, obviously you can't because that is there, and Haiku is a bit uncertain if this is Paradox or not. I seriously doubt it. It looks like there was, of course, that destruction of the Firopod, but I don't think that actually caused an ultimate echo. I think that will resolve positively. And 2 more copies of the same Firopod, or actually 2 more Firepods coming in, dealing with what they can. No, further back in the past, yeah, there actually has been a paradox. Further back in the past, it looks like when the Firepods would have arrived normally, chronally, because that was the 5-minute mark, and they arrived about the 4:30 mark, yeah, it looks like Haiku has gotten himself into a paradox. In one case, he has about 5 Firepods, and in the other case, he has about 1. So he can still rebuild from this and re-chronoport everything back. But right now, Haiku's in a really tough spot. I think from the south, he might actually have an Arcticus back when he was looking, so he might be able to rebuild himself. And the Firepods have actually started attacking the direct forces here, or the Firepod itself. Maybe more Firepods have been built in the future and sent back, and they are attacking the forces as they come in. The forces, well, ChronAberant's forces are probably alive on the red time wave. It looked like that was the case. But the green time wave does carry a problem, and there is a Spire there. It really should morph down, morph back into an Arcticus, maybe an Arcticus or 2, rebuild the Triads, because right now, actually no, there's a Triad here on the green time wave. On the red time wave will be a problem, and ChronAberant's actually building his base halfway into Haiku's base right now, so Haiku is still in a really bad spot. And it looks like, no, even on the red time wave. On the red time wave, so permanently, it seems that the Firepods actually managed to get in and deal enough damage to ChronAberant to destroy his main base. ChronAberant has rebuilt inside Haiku's base, and Haiku's going to have to deal with this. However, his own Triad has been left alive and left alone, so his attack will not be permanently damaging. So Haiku, as much damage as he was able to deal, has actually managed to save himself, and very well done. I'm quite impressed. So it looks like ChronAberant's going to have to deal with this now. He does have a lot of resources around the map, but he doesn't have a lot of tech built up, and he does have the reefs, so he doesn't have any tech being researched, while Haiku, of course, has advanced structures, chronoporting, and has been getting a fair amount of resources without anything to spend it on. So, as we can see, right now, he's rolling in it, really. Even back when he was attacking with the Firepods, he's rolling in it. He's got plenty of cash. He can easily do whatever he wants, provided he actually goes and does it. I mean, he needs the CE to do it. But he has enough for a healthy amount of orders when he's looking. And ChronAberant, on the other hand, actually no, he's just run out of CE. Sorry, Haiku's pretty much run out of CE, but ChronAberant is still going. ChronAberant doesn't look like he's actually built up too much. It's hard to tell since we're not focusing on anything on his main base. Haiku, on the other hand, has been just assaulting around the map, trying to find all the RPs of ChronAberant, trying to deal with everything he has to try to stop the assault before it happens. And it looks like, yes, he's actually managed to destroy the secondary Triad of ChronAberant and destroy the reefs as well. So ChronAberant's now been completely turned around again. So once again, the game has been completely turned around by an absolute Chronoport, and that's been very amazing. So a bunch of Chronoported Firepods, a bunch of re-Chronoported Firepods, saving the day. Holy crap, nicely done, Haiku. So that was a really powerful attack, and it looks like ChronAberant in the future has got advanced structures. He's going at the red time wave is pretty much going to carry his death. So I'm not sure what he can really do beyond that. The blue time wave is. Oh wait, no, what? No, it looks like. The blue time wave is carrying the death. Okay, there we go. Blue time wave is carrying death. It will be carrying death eventually, not back when the green time wave is right now, but it is carrying death, so ChronAberant is going to try to probably outpace that. And if he's not lucky, he's going to have to jump himself ahead to actually avoid getting everything wiped. And yeah, the time waves come and completely wiped out everything, so all he has is a couple RPs on the south side of the map right there, and that's going to be very problematic to deal with. Actually, it's going to be impossible to win from, so ChronAberant's going to need to either jump into the future and start Chrono-porting units back and try to pull what Haiku just did, or going to have to surrender and hope for a good assault in Game 3 to win him the entire best of 3. Because remember, this is a best of series. It's not just going to be a single game. So, looks like Game 2 is likely to go to Haiku unless ChronAberant can pull something out, and it doesn't look like he actually has much to pull out. He has very little in the way. He has a lot of resources, but he has very little in the way of Q plasma. He never was investing it in the first place, so he doesn't have much tech. And on the other hand, Haiku has just been completely going for it. So Haiku is very healthy tech and dealing a lot of damage, while ChronAberant is trying to do what he can, but really he doesn't have much. So both players are focused right on the unplayable pass, trying to figure out what went on. And ChronAberant does not have anything to chronoport with. Haiku can easily keep re-chronoporting back all these units just to make this battle go faster and faster and faster. And it appears that's exactly what he's done, actually. And so there's a lot of units coming in. It looks like the units have arrived. Some units have arrived. Some copies of that Farbot have arrived. So that will be... Just so everyone knows, since this is kind of a lull in the game, when units chronoport back, there's a setting which is on right now for Merrill Engine that creates these disks under them, and that basically tells you that those units are the base units. Like, if those units die, then the units that chronoported back will die. So they're the pre-chronoported versions of that unit. It's a bit tricky to explain, but basically, those are the units that chronoported back. The ones with disks under them chronoported back. The ones, and also the lines point to the units they chronoport into, and the ones without disks but that are glowing at first are the ones that actually went through the chronoport. So you have to make sure the ones with disks under them are able to chronoport, otherwise you get into paradox situations. But it looks like ChronAberant is completely destroyed. I don't see anywhere that he actually has anything on the map right now, except in the future with a few RPs. So ChronAberant's probably just going to GG very quickly. A bit of a short again than the last one, but certainly an interesting, very, very exciting comeback from Haiku. Very well done with that. Just one Pharopod becoming 5 Pharopods, and ChronAberant has GG'd. So that is the game. Well done, Haiku, and we're on to Game 3, because that's the only game left. So, Game 3. I probably should change the title, too. So, now Game 3 is done. We have... The last map is Withering Dunes. I forgot the name on that. Anyway, the last map is Withering Dunes, despite the lack of a name. Sorry. It is Withering Dunes. And that is going to be the last map that these two play against each other. So, once that's set up, we'll be ready to go as soon as the replay is loaded, and we will be ready to set up. So it looks like there will be a little bit of a delay. So yes, Haiku and ChronAberant have both won one game each, and the game is now starting on Withering Dunes. ChronAberant is on the right side. I presume ChronAberant, double check. Yes, ChronAberant is on the right side of the map, and it looks like we had the same mix-up as last time. So yes, ChronAberant is in blue, Haiku's in red, despite what the pre-game image showed. So, ChronAberant, once again, is going for Grekim, as usual, and Haiku, I'm not sure, it looks like on the minimap he's going for Vecgear. Yes, he is. Haiku's going for Vecgear. So Haiku's basically gone for every single race this match. So he's not going so... I mean, Grekim did work for him last time, but maybe he feels like he just wants to go through everything, just every single race, showcase all the races. And sure, why not? I mean, if you think you can win, great. If you don't think you can win, well, hey, we saw all 3 races in the first match, so awesome. Anyway, ChronAberant continuing to go Grekim. So Haiku is basically just dancing between every single race. He's going out expanding with his Zion and Teth Veer from the looks of it, and his Shin Veer is also going to the top. He's not actually building up anything as main base much after the Zion Veer built the initial 6 RPs in LC. And it looks like that is, unless that's a Zion Veer up there, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, Vicar infantry are a bit hard to tell by sight, so unless you click on them, it's hard to tell what they're actually up to, or what they actually are, rather. So the Zion Veer has been sent to the south, and it looks like the Shin Veer has been sent to the north, and the Teth Veer was sent with the Zion Veer. Okay, Shin Veers build foundations, Zion Veers build RPs, and Teth Veers build comm centers, or comm hubs, but that hasn't been built. So the Zion Veer and Teth Veer are sent to the south, and Shin Veer to the north. We're jumping back to when that happened. ChronAberant's point of view, he is building up RPs, 7 RPs on his LC. That's all the RPs he can build as an LC in his main base. He's going to have to expand from that in order to build more, while ChronAberant is doing that. Haiku is building up, actually 2 minutes up, Haiku has actually built up some foundations. Nothing on them yet. He's getting auto defense very quickly, so he'll be able to build some bastions on that if he wants to. And that will allow him to easily defend the north-middle expansion, and then from there he'll be able to very quickly take that entire side, because it'll be very hard to get through. This is a rather small, windy map, so it's pretty easy to take 1 or 2 choke points, and then from there control the entire corner of the map. So Haiku is going very quickly to attack with the Teth Veer just to harass a little bit, see what ChronAberant's up to, what ChronAberant is playing, which is of course Grekim. And ChronAberant is about 2 minutes down. He is set up some Octos, actually where the Zion Veer is set up, so the Octo is a little bit late, and now is going to be attacked very heavily. However, probably will be able to take care of the Zion. Yes, we'll be able to kill that Zion Veer very quickly. Actually, you know what? No! The Teth Veer and Zion Veer combo managed to get rid of it, which I wasn't sure about, because Octos are very powerful units, and only the Zion Veer is great against ground units, but it looks like the Octo will be able to deal with it, so the Octos are kind of hanging back, not attacking too heavily. ChronAberant is only about a minute down from the present anyway. He has plenty of CE left. He's still sending his Octo up, and he's actually sending it past, but no, he's going to attack Teth Veer directly. The Zion Veer isn't there to support, so the Teth Veer will be destroyed unless the Zion Veer comes into support very quickly, and it looks like it won't, so the Teth Veer is going to die, and the Zion Veer is likely to die very soon after. The only reason that Zion Veer-Teth Veer combo won is because of the Zion Veer-Teth Veer combo, but it looks like Haiku has actually gone back again, and will be fixing that up. So the RP will actually be acting as cover for the Octos. The Octos will be going well past it, going straight for the main base of Haiku. So ChronAberant is going to be just going for a harassment attack that he's probably planning on doing in the first place. However, he is also building some Octos for RPs for that base. Once again, more Octos coming up, and Zion Veer, Teth Veer are going to attack the Octos. However, 2 Octos coming in, going to be able to destroy the Zion Veer and Teth Veer very rapidly. So valiant effort by Haiku to micro around this, but it doesn't really seem to be able to do that. He really needed a better barricade. Maybe, I mean, it's hard to do with RPs because they're expensive and they don't cover a whole lot of space, and Octos are very fast units. So, I mean, it's a valiant effort, but he really... Actually, there he goes, trying to build another RP to try to cover that. And it looks like the Octos just decided, no, screw it, just going to attack the RPs. That actually did work, though. So, just the Zion Veer is now stuck, unless the RPs are able to teleport. And no, the Octo was actually managed to get around and get rid of that Zion Veer. So Haiku is continuing to micro back around here, trying to make sure that he actually has the right positioning for a Zion Veer. And his Zion Veer is actually frozen up from the looks of it, and not doing much. The Octos are hanging back, just trying to set up, get a large enough force to actually deal enough damage. And 2 bases actually set up for Haiku right now. So the north and main have foundations set up. However, the foundations haven't been developed yet. Primarily, he's been focusing on RPs and on keeping this ground, but it doesn't look like it's actually going to do much. Octos are coming around trying to deal with the Zion Veer, but they can't because of the positioning of the RPs. So, nice little barricade. It actually did work out. But the Octos are far more focused on just taking advantage of the fact that they have the territory and can build up RPs at their leisure. They don't have to worry about the Zion Veer, because the 2 RPs aren't going to be doing too much. ChronAberant has jumped back and is probably going to be sending these Octos. Looks like a couple of Octos are just hanging out here, probably just to get a bit of an army before they go for a real assault attacking the RPs. However, they are trying to attack the Zion Veer, and the barricade is working to just mess them up. So, right now, Haiku is going for a lot of foundations, not building a lot of buildings on top of them yet. He could use some turrets, maybe a depot would be a favorite, but some turrets could help, and advanced structures has been built up for ChronAberant, so while both players have been focusing primarily on low-tech units, they do have their basic tech upgraded. However, that's a bit more useful for Grekim than it is for Vecchir. A bastion has been built in the north base, and that bastion will be able to help out dealing with these Octos coming in and try to expand there as well. And Bastion Foundation will destroy this Octo before it's able to deal any real damage. 2 more Octos coming in from ChronAberant's base, another 2 Octos coming into the main base, another bastion there, and all the foundations will deal with those pretty handily, so it shouldn't be a big deal. However, these are, of course, just scouts, and ChronAberant's probably not actually doing anything meaningful with them. So, right now, Haiku has a pretty secure northwest side of the map. ChronAberant hasn't really secured a huge amount of the map. He did manage to fight and get that middle expansion, costing Haiku his Zion Veer and Teth Veer. So, or at least his Teth Veer. His Iron Veer seems to be just hanging out here, not doing much. But it cost him his Teth Veer, which isn't a huge cost early game, especially against Grekim. But late game it will be a huge cost because Pharopods, you need to have Teth units, but by that point you have a depot and you're just building straight off the depot and not building off of infantry. Although it's not better to build off of infantry, but it doesn't matter. The point is, Teth Veer, not a big loss. Zion Veer is a big loss because you can't build RPs, and Shin Veer is also a big loss because you can't build expansion foundations, but not as big as Zion Veers are. So the Shin Veer is going to be, once again, dealing with this. The Autos are just trying to attack. Autos actually setting up some domes right now, right in between. Offensive domes. Something I've seen a lot of Grekim do. Something I've actually done a few times in playing Grekim is set up offensive domes, because that just allows you to deal damage without having to worry too much about it. I mean, domes are very powerful. Domes have a long-range beam, although that does require some charging. But it still takes, after about a minute and a half, you have a long-range beam. And they're quite powerful for that. Spire has been built. However, ChronAberant does not have a lot of QP, so he can't really build a lot of Pharopods or Sepipods. So, not the most useful timing, but it still is better tech. Like I said, auto defense is not quite as useful tech as advanced structures is, because really Vector just has more stuff they can do at the start. They don't need an AC. They need an aerial control center to build air units, but they don't need tech to build the aerial control center. Advanced structures is necessary for Grekim to build a Spire, which is necessary to build air units. So, because of that, it's a bit harder for Grekim to get air units, or at least a bit more involved. It requires tech, but it's more expensive for Vector to do it in terms of actual costs. And it looks like there's actually been a bit of a mistake on Haiku's part in terms of his foundation placement. He's built an aerial control center right next to his annex instead of a depot, and then tried to build a depot outside of that. He's doing that further in the past. Yeah, as you see, the depot is actually being built outside of the annex, so he's building infantry first and then the vehicles, which is a lot harder to do, costs more CE, and is generally more attention intensive. However, in terms of LC and QP costs, it actually makes no difference. So it's the same cost, it's just harder to do. And it looks like he's building more foundations, even more foundations to help heal up and defend. And I see a lot of infantry. Likely he's going to be using that to build his vehicles. The one advantage of using infantry to build vehicles is that the build time is shorter, because, of course, the build time was already front-loaded on the infantry. But if you have a lot of stuff going on, a depot being built, you can build some infantry beforehand, and really, the annex isn't being used anyway, so you might as well. However, later in the game, because the annex doesn't have parallel production, the depot does, it's usually better to build vehicles straight out the depot. However, right now, Haiku is far more focused on defense than he is on building vehicles and offense. He still hasn't got a vehicle yet. This is 6 minutes in the game. He has no vehicles yet. Still working on some infantry. Hasn't actually used his depot to build vehicles. He has the CE and resources to do it, but he hasn't gone around to it. And on ChronAberant's side, he has Pharopods. He has weaponry coming out, so likely a super weaponry has been researched. Well, back when he is, weapons is researched. So he will be able to fire off some plasma cruise missiles or chrono bombs to mess up whatever Haiku is trying to do, which is mostly defensive. Unfortunately for him, that is going to be very easy to counter with super weapons, so ChronAberant is in a pretty decent position right now. On the other hand, Haiku does have a much better base structure, and he does have a larger expansion infrastructure. However, we saw in the first game, that doesn't necessarily make the difference when the opponent is able to simply attack and assault directly. So, right now, a lot of forces coming in from ChronAberant actually being able to deal with that depot. Like I said, no vehicles coming out. Very strange from Haiku. So Haiku is building gate tech up near the... Sorry, I'm getting confused with the two. Haiku is the one building weaponry. ChronAberant's the one building gate tech. And up in the present. Right now, Haiku is building gate tech. And he has gotten Zion here. So he's actually getting Zion pulsars and Teth pulsars, so he'll be able to deal with the units coming in. Once gate tech is upgraded, they'll all be able to skip teleport on their own volition. And he's the one with super weapons, so he can fire off a nuke if he wants to anytime. So that's what he was up to. ChronAberant's the one getting gate tech in the present right now, or actually about half a minute down from the present. So about a minute up from us, or a minute and a half up from us. Pharopods coming in from ChronAberant will be dealing a lot of damage. The Teth pulsars, 2 Teth pulsars, will not be able to deal with them if they can't see them. Zion pulsars further in the back to try to deal with the Octopod, and that will be a lot more effective, but the Pharopod will be able to deal with them fairly effectively as well. Chrono-porting has been upgraded for ChronAberant, a little bit up from the present when we're looking right now. Hasn't been used yet, though. ChronAberant doesn't even have Chrono-ported anything back to help himself out. However, he is still in a very advantageous position. Like I said, Haiku does have defense. He does have a pretty hard-to-assail base, but he also doesn't have a lot of... he has a lot of resources, but he doesn't have a lot of production he's actually using. His annex is not connected to his depot. He should be building an annex. The foundation that's south of his aerial control center should have an annex. because that will at least allow him to parallel produce infantry and also allow him to build up a lot more in his, well, just in his depot. It looks like, though, he actually managed to chronoport back. Yes, he chronoported back his vehicles to damage the base before it became a problem. I'm not sure how effective this is going to be, just because, while it is a good chronoport, it's still not a lot of units coming in the past to try to deal with this. So, an interesting strategy from Haiku, trying to chronoport back. However, he has gotten rid of the Spire. He's going to get rid of the Spire very effectively. Further back, though, it looks like this is really just going to be a race down to see who can attack, who can hit who harder first. Farpod and Octopod are coming in further near the unplayable past, while the attack is going on about a minute up from the unplayable past. And since chronoporting is up for both players, it looks like, no, I can't actually tell right now. It looks like it probably will be a chronoported Farpod coming back to help out, but it's hard to tell because it was a discontinuity at the time, so it was better to tell what was going on. And it looks like just domes have been set up around the map, so that's still quite useful. It hasn't really done much. But it's useful as territory control and to scout out, see what's going on. While ChronAberant is looking at 4 minutes in the past, he's very likely has chronoported something, and it's hard to tell, though. It looks like he might have chronoported back another... Yes, he did. The Cloaked Firepod has been chronoported back to help out deal with these Teth Pulsars and Zyme Pulsars, so while the Spire is still going to be destroyed ultimately, the Firepods will be able to deal a lot of damage, and the Spire can be rebuilt pretty easily. That's not a big deal. That's pretty cheap, and it takes a very short time to build, so that's not a big problem. It will slow ChronAberant down a little bit, but Haiku needs to push a lot harder to be able to actually do anything meaningful. Haiku does have a lot of resources, though. I'm not sure if he's spending it. He's decided to actually spend on vehicles or what. He has spent on. Has shot a skip torpedo down and destroyed the base that he was trying to go for initially, that the two were fighting over at the very start of the game. And so ChronAberant no longer has RPs there. However, that's really the least of ChronAberant's concerns. He had 3 RPs there in the first place. He has 3 RPs. A few other expansions on the map in the north and south, and of course his main base is not even saturated yet, so he could even develop that further. So ChronAberant really isn't that concerned, I don't think, right now, but he probably should start to be concerned. It looks like there actually is forces coming in. Yeah, forces further back from Haiku. He's built more vehicles. He hasn't built any infantry. He's got Slip Propel, though, which won't be effective against the Farpods that's cloaked right now, but it will be effective against everything else, like the Octopods. That will just teleport them away from the attack. And the Farpods actually snuck around and going for the north base, trying to deal with that there. Chronoported back Teth Turtures and Shin Turtures to deal with the Farpods before they become a real problem. So Haiku, I think, has actually managed to retake the upper hand with that Chronoport, and Zyme Turture back as well. So Turtures of all 3 types have been sent back to deal with this. However, I imagine ChronAberant will be sending back some Farpods of his own and Sepipods as well to deal with this before the Triad is too heavily destroyed. However, the Octo has been destroyed, or will be destroyed, and that's the most important unit. The only thing you can make without an Octo is Octopods, well, Octo-gender units. But if you lose that Octo, that's really tough to deal with. However, Octopods are attacking the north base. Not the best option, because the north base, while it does have a lot of resources, is not the main base for their chronoporting. The main base of the chronoporting is the main base, and that's where all this assault is coming from. So that being said, the north base actually is upgrading a slipgate right now. So north base is going to be able to do chronoporting as a backup. So not the worst idea, but of course the thing is, that's not where the slipgate was. That's not where the slipgate has been that's been sending back all these vehicles to actually deal with ChronAberant's base. So ChronAberant's going to have to still deal with this slipgate in the main. It looks like, wow, Haiku's really extended that foundation line a lot. He's got a massive, just all the foundations he got set up. That's the most foundations I've ever seen interconnected without building any new sets of foundations. And Super Weapon has come in from ChronAberant. A Plasma Cruise Missile has come in and destroyed half the RPs on the northeast side of that expansion. So those are, well, 1 LC, 1 QP box. Quite a bit of damage, but not enough to deal anything serious. So those RPs are still heavily damaged. ChronAberant actually managed to retake that Middle West expansion. However, his main base is being heavily damaged by a Zyme Turture. He is a minute down from here, so he's likely to be dealing with that. Haiku, from his point of view, is in a very good spot. He's just dealt with a Triad, and he has a very powerful base. But ChronAberant is... Actually, no, back when ChronAberant is, he actually is in a very bad spot. He's moving his Arcticus away. Oh, no, sorry, it's not an Arcticus. This is Reef. His Arcticus has actually stayed put. It really should be moving away and rebuilding some of the units, because ChronAberant does not have that main base anymore. He doesn't have a hold on that. He's got to run away. His dome's going to help out, but now, even then, more units are likely to be chronoported back, and he is actually building a Faro, but that's not going to do any good. The Arcticus needs to run away. That Arcticus needs to run. Run away! But no, it's not going to work. So it looks like... Actually, it looks like ChronAberant... No, ChronAberant lost his gate tech. Actually, yeah, that... So the resource destruction actually did manage to destroy gate tech. And Haiku has sent back even more units, sent back a Shin Pulsar and another Territor to deal with this. So ChronAberant's actually not going to be able to Chrono-port back anything to deal with this, which is rather unfortunate. He really doesn't... Well, okay, it's a little early now to... Well, a little in the unplayable pass now to deal with it, but he still could run his... Yeah, he could easily run his Arcticus away while it's still alive, but he hasn't done that. So it looks like ChronAberant has conceded, so that's match 1. So Haiku has won the first match, first best of 3, and well done to him. So that is going to be... That's game 1. That's it. So game 2 will be coming up shortly, which will be shutting off the stream so that the recordings work properly, and then after that it will be game 2, which will, assuming he's arrived, well, actually no. It's supposed to be Gurnan left versus numbers. It looks like that's not going to be happening. So it will instead be... Just double check the brackets here. The next match will be... Actually, you know what? It doesn't look like there's any other matches. No one seems to be here. Yeah. Hisui and Sickles are both not here right now, and neither is Gurnan left or numbers. So I'm not sure what's going to be happening right now. I've got to talk to Merovingian about this. But it looks like this is the only match for tonight. So, hooray for Haiku. He did a really good job and won that set, but it doesn't look like anything else is actually going to be happening tonight for this tournament, which is really unfortunate because it's supposed to be 4 matches a night, but we're still having issues trying to organize all this stuff, so hopefully the round of 8 will be a lot better. I'm not sure what to do about the fact that some people are here and some people are not. So, yeah. Well done to Haiku and ChronAberant. Very interesting to watch, and congrats to Haiku for winning. Well done. So, that was match 1. Not sure what happened for match 2. So, thank you for watching. We may be coming back with more casts, but it looks like there aren't the players on to actually do it. So thank you for watching this first attempt at a tournament, and we will be hopefully be able to do this a lot better as time goes on. And have a good night, everyone, from the looks of it.